Okay. My name is Giovanni Nieves, also known as Dante DVS, the body of desire, the weapon of mass seduction, the kingmaker. I come with so many names, it's ridiculous. Puerto Rican American, born and raised in the city of Chicago, been in the wrestling game for 21 years, promoter for 10. I grew up in Woodland Park. Yeah, man, I was there for like the first 6 years of my life. The Walcott area, and then we moved to Cortez and Ashland, which was right there. I used to go to Elizabeth Peabody School, mid-80s. Talking about 85, 86. That's when I really got into wrestling. I would watch it with my father, and my father, he made it a point to always have it on. So that's how I gravitated to it because, you know, it was just amazing because I was looking for wrestling. And then I bumped into the WWF stuff, which I never seen because it was always the AWA. In the morning, and my dad used to be like on the couch or on the bed, and I would just sit down and like right next to my dad, and I would just check it out with him because, you know, he was just there. And my father, mind you, back in the days, he tried his hand in the wrestling business too. So my father in the 60s, in the 60s and early 70s, was a jobber in New York. Red Gagne and Mr. Perfect and all that, Kid Kurt and all that, the Road Warriors. I used to watch all them guys, man, back in the day. I thought that was the thing to be. There was nothing else existed, man. It was wrestling. There was no other mission. It was either become a wrestler or become nothing. I didn't have no other plan. To tell me, people that know will tell me, hey, but at least finish school. Like, get a backup plan just in case this doesn't work out. There was no this doesn't work out. It was gonna happen. But it was Pro Wrestling International. I signed with Sonny Rogers, and I started in March of 1999. We had good times. It was like a garage. It was ugly as hell. We fixed it, made it look like a fucking arena, dude. For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm coming up in the business. You know, little by little, I'm developing. I'm starting to learn the moves. UWC Nation, UWC, as it was called before, it was Unified Wrestling Conglomerate. Me and Billy the Tiger, who was the former promoter of the IWC, International Wrestling Council, we co-promoted. We used to do collaboration shows. We had gotten some bad news from the Windy City Fieldhouse, that reason that they had where the new guys that took over didn't want wrestling in their building. Right on the weekend, 2 weeks prior to the actual show, we get a call from the building manager canceling our booking, and we had already paid, mind you. In that building, and we drew big houses as ECPW. We drew 2 big houses in that fucking place. And we was like, whoa, if nobody else is doing that, this is gonna be our house. We were in collab with this one promoter, Jose, and his cousin Angel, who used to promote, they used to have this UPW in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And they were in collaboration with us, with the IWC. So it was IWC UPW Wrestling. Billy's got cold feet. He ain't making moves. We already done sold tickets. He wants to flake out. I'm not flaking out because my name's all over this fucking thing. You know, me and my brother, we put our fucking necks out. Terrible money's at stake here. And my brother says, why don't we just take over? We got to find a building ASAP. Let's take over and just change the name. So me and Ivan, we decided to walk up to the guys that own the AWA Slam factory over at the Pierport Business Park. Last minute, we're talking about, it's Tuesday, bro. We go to the fucking Cortez on Tuesday before the show with a canceled building and almost 500 tickets sold, not to mention whoever was going to walk in through the door. If it wasn't for that last minute switch of building, venues, and names, we would have had a really great house. But even then, at the Beware House, on the night of the very first UWC Nation 0 hour, we had over 350 people in that building.
Original founders of UWC was me, Gio, Ivan, myself, and Will. UWC was a mistake because they were doing a show with Dante was doing a show, Gio was doing a show with Billy the Tiger, and Billy and Gio got into an altercation, and then Gio was like, "Oh no, I'm just gonna run my own thing," you know.
I remember that.
Remember?
I remember that.
He's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna start my own thing," and then that's when Gio came to us, and he was like, "Hey, you guys wanna start something, start a different promotion, and that's when we got together. We were coming up with ideas.
The brothers, what they were was they were my street guys. These guys were the ones putting the word out. I mean, we would have had a 700 crowd house had we been in the Windy City Field House, and it was all the brothers and their little crew of friends that they were just like full of piss and vinegar. They loved the wrestling business, and since their name was attached to this show that was coming up, they put a lot of their heart and soul into it, and they put the word out, and we were gonna get that good turnout.
The beginning, I was always like, I knew what everything was going on. I was still young at the time, so I was really just learning and just giving ideas on what makes it better. When we actually found the building, I did a lot of remodeling to the building, helping the place stand out more than what it was. I wasn't into like booking and anything like that. I was just with them so that we could get the show on the road, make sure we have everything, carry the snacks and the hot dogs in the building. I was doing all the, help that they couldn't do when they were busy running the show. You know what I mean?
The culture with the UWC was very family oriented. With guys like 747, his brother, Willie Bling, Ivan, and Gio, Dante DVS, they were all very close knit. They got together for family gatherings constantly. Dante and Ivan had brought 747 into their wrestling fold about a year and a half before UWC. So they were already tight knit, and 747's family is very, very close.
Mom invite everybody in. It was like, Mom, we're gonna do this. All right, bring them. We'll cook a big meal and have them in here and show them at home.
Our house was like you could say a hotel for the workers, because they would come stay here and then go work the shows.
Mike Stover, I was a avid and very dedicated fan to the world of pro wrestling and to the UWC Nation. I was humbled and was given the opportunity to become a part of their company and develop a online video show that benefited the company and many other wrestlers in the pro wrestling scene in Chicago. I remember the B warehouse was in the back of a truck yard. Way in the back of a truck yard next to freight train tracks. This was the perfect location for an independent company, because you walk into the B warehouse and it had the underground feeling. This wasn't mainstream. This wasn't like you were booking out high schools and places like that. This was literally just that, a warehouse in the back of a truck yard. So you were able to do almost anything back there and get away with it. And that's what made it so special, being at the B warehouse.
Dante wanted consistency, because if the locals in the neighborhood over by North Avenue in Narragansett, they treated UWC like it was theirs. It was our hometown fed. I went to high school with him. I used to work with him. I know him. I see him at the buffet all the time. I'm going to go support these guys because it just felt like the local wrestling fed. They would bring their kids. So it became kind of like must-see TV when you had the audience that was coming in. Like, man, they got the best of Iceman last week. I'd have seen Iceman at Jiffy Lube getting his oil changed, and I talked to him, and he told me he got something for Dante ass on Saturday. I'm bringing my kids who want to go see it. So it was something that kept people wanting to come back.
We would come up with all kinds of concepts and stuff, but like Fever was the one that stuck for like the regular, like the smaller shows, the ones that would be more continuous, the ones that were happening in between the big shows.
UWC's plan was still to only have one event per month, and I thought that was ridiculous. If we're going to build real storylines, then we need a show every week. And on the other side of that, Dante thought that was ridiculous. He's like, how are we going to draw people every single week? That's insane, asking for money every week. I said, charge him $5. Let's call it Saturday Night Fever. And let's get the boys time in the ring.
Since I was running consistently, I was running frequently every weekend, we had build-ups. The storylines would actually be told.
I was behind creative because I had named the show, I had come up with the concept for the show, and I was naming pay-per-views like Unchained and Momentum, and they were sticking. They were taking my ideas and going with them.
Alex Thorn. He was very creative. He was very instrumental in a lot of the stuff that we created, a lot of the themes. He was very instrumental in a lot of it.
The characters in the UWC in the beginning were very much self-explanatory. The Maori Mauler, so he had this Australian accent. Will E. Bling, he was this thug who had money. Punisher 747 was this monster who didn't need to speak, who imposed his size. Willie the Bomb Richardson was essentially reincarnated Dusty Rhodes in the indie scene. Dante DVS was a rotund version of Rick Rude.
New Focus Division, which was my mid-card division.
That New Focus title was a great title, and you saw a lot of great matches. Had a very high creative, talented roster.
Group of New Focus guys, and for them to even, because I wasn't even part of this, for them, like the bookers to even pick who's gonna go over and who's not, for them to even pick me, it was really huge. Now the match I had to do for it was a great match. You know, me and Rangi, we went, what was it, like every show the fans wanted us to go at it. You know, it was like a feud they wanted us to go. It no matter, it could have been a 0 hour, it could have been any show we did, they wanted us to go after each other. It was just such a great match. But for me to be holding that title at that time, at the age I was, it meant so much to me, you know, that they even thought like, okay, we're gonna put it on one of our regular guys that are here. You know what I mean?
It was phenomenal. The hunger was phenomenal. These guys, they really wanted it. There was something to go for. There was something to strive about. And these guys were hungry. They were giving it their all.